maps on the second highest difficulty. This is going to be interesting. We're going to have one clear goal. World domination. Also
eyeing this game.
And we need to look around.
Humankind, and it popped up when I logged
we do have a couple of options from here. Let's go up this route there. So we're going to, stay quite a while in this nomadic.
I'm addicted to civilization, and
because an endless difficulty this era takes quite some time, we need to get our first pops going. Turn 2 it is already, and we continue.
Though it's a dangerous thing for me to buy it.
There's no way for
first of all, maybe it doesn't show on
it. We continue. There is some.
I don't know. Does it work on a Mac? Oh, even more videos. Can you buy from here or get to an about? Nope, they don't seem to let you quickly get to Steam or something, but that's okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Cocktails and Coding. Cocktails and Coding is my nighttime show. In other words, whenever I do this at night, I call it Cocktails and Coding, but I'm not drinking a cocktail. I'm actually drinking a nice coffee, so I should probably call it Coding then Cocktails, because that's the plan. After doing some stuff today, I'm going to go for a walk and then have a cocktail. But for now, we got iced coffee and some pretty cool stuff, I have to say. So yesterday, look, Tom Cruise. Yesterday, we were dealing with some stuff where I had changed the name of a spell. This is the wrong project. I had changed the name of a spell, Feeble Mind, because I had spelled it wrong. I had spelled the spell wrong. I liked Civilization 5 better than 4, but 4 was the best up until then. I like 5 better than 6, personally. But 6 is still fun. It took some while to get used to. I played a little bit and then I stopped for like a year. I'm actually debating whether I should delete Steam right now because I keep playing it when I'm like, oh, I only have 90 minutes. It's not enough time to code anything. I'll play this game. And then like 2 hours, 3 hours later, I'm like still playing. I'm like, wait a minute. I should have gone to bed or just coded for 2 or 3 hours. Anyways, so yesterday I changed the name of the spell Feeble Mind. So we got these spells here. This is using the modules, and Feeble Mind had changed the name, and a lot of things I have kind of hard coded the name. So Portrait Particle Scene. Now this is a dictionary where, you know, the items module lets you create lists of just things, and then the dictionary lets you add any kind of data to those things, and you know, all of these data types are available. In fact, I'm actually missing one. I'm missing sprites. I added sprites, but apparently I forgot to add it to this list, so I need to fix that. But I just added these new types: learn, stat or skill, or item. And these are part of the module system. The stat or skill is from the stat or skill module, and the item is from this module. And these are all different items lists. So items, spells, conditions, they're all lists of the module items, and each one has a bunch of individual item objects on them. Each one of these is an item object. Each one can have a custom dictionary that you specify here, any sort of key, and all these values are available for the key. So Portrait Particle has a value string, a value audio clip. All of these are actually there. It's just when you click these, it's going to expose them into this inspector script here so you can more easily populate them. So for Portrait Particle, we have a string called Feeble Mind and audio clip buff compo 5. So I changed the name Feeble Mind. I spelt it correctly. And then we got errors because in various places, Feeble Mind was still spelled incorrectly. And that's a problem. So what I've done is added those new dictionary types, star skills, learn star skills. Specifically, this will show you only the learned ones or the ones that can be learned, and items. And if you need a refresher on the stat or skills, this is that object here. You have all these stat or skills. Some of them can be trained. So this being checked on or off, and can't be modified. So if it can't be trained, it won't be in the learned star skills list, because there's a lot of potential stat or skills, including things that the player may never see. Like the player might never see their lockpicking value. Maybe that is a value that's derived from various other stats, for instance, or trap avoidance. That's a good one. Player will never actually see what their trap avoidance value is, but that might come from a bunch of other stats that feed into that final value. So if we expand that, you'll see it can't be trained, but it can be modified. So stuff like that. And I specified the type. These are all hidden stats that the player won't actually see in the game. You can customize those names however you want. Right here, just change the names or anything. Again, custom dictionaries on these as well, so that if I wanted to, we got starting item here, and this is something that we can change now in spell. So now, for this spell, for instance, I'm going to add an item. Just toggle that, turn it on, go back to here, and we got a bug. So that's good. This is our first bug. So I have to say I tested this once by clicking it one time, and it worked. It was the items, not this. So the problem here is probably that the UID on items doesn't exist, and that's because I just added the UID concept to a lot of the items. So all I really need to do is go into my items and just kind of click these, I believe, and that should create UIDs for all of them. Let's see. What's it looking for? Spells, right? Spells. Let's look at our spells. Are they not getting UIDs? Items. So we can show the full inspector down here. And spells. I want to change the name to be on top. So let me change that here. I'm also going to have to change it in the other one, because this is the modules, and if I change something here, I want to make sure it's changed at the top, or at the others as well. What is this? Each one of these items on the items class. List item. Yes, so I'm going to put that up here. I think that means that the name will show properly in the inspector. Nope, it didn't. But it didn't update that. Heads up, if you are watching this, please give it a thumbs up while we wait for things to load. Always helpful. And there we go. So now the names are more easily read, and so I'm going to change that on the other one too. I've got the other project here. I'm just going to go to the items, scriptable object, and make the same change on item. It wasn't items. Oops, clicked the wrong thing. All right, put this up there. All right, I'll hide that. Thanks, we got 1 thumbs up. It went from 4 to 5. Feel free to not give it a thumbs up if you really don't want to. That's fine. I'm not going to force you. All right, so this is the wrong project, so we go back to this project. All right, so they have UIDs. These are the spells. So what is missing a UID? Let's find out. I was hoping to not have a bug so fast, but I guess that's what game dev is all about. It's all about bugs. I mean, that's the real thing, is getting rid of bugs until things work. So items, in the items array, doesn't seem to have items. Oh, I see. Not all the items have UIDs. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a catch here. So I'm going to say if items dot, or actually, I think I can just do items dot check UID. That's it, because check UID, if I was smart enough, yeah, says that if it's not null, it'll add it, or if it is null, it'll add it, and then it'll check all the items in it as well. So now if there is no UID, then technically it should check them. And I'm going to have to add that to the other script as well. Where was... this was on line 245 of custom editor modules. And the reason why I'm doing this now, adding this over here now, is because yesterday I realized with that sprite thing I mentioned earlier, I didn't remember to move some updates over from this project back to the main. Hey, what gives? Let's see. What is the deal? Did I save? I did save, right? Yeah. Let's try saving again. Maybe it's saying that items doesn't exist. Maybe it's not the UID after all. Speaking of Civ games, do you remember that other Civilization game that was made by some other company? Call to Power. They had to change the name to Call to Power. Alright, so clearly items isn't coming, but that's weird because the items array should only return items. So let's just debug this real quick. So it's supposed to find all types of items in the project and then return an array of those items. So let's see. Debug.log index I equals all items I dot name. Alright, so we should get a whole bunch of console spews now, I think. Or more null reference. So, what the heck? So it's saying that this is null. Why would this be null? Let's see. Debug.log should be all items.length items. Let's see. Let's see. Are there only one item? We can see type item. Oops, not type items. There's only one items. And here it is. That doesn't make sense because these are items. These are all types of items. Why isn't it finding these? See? So, interesting. This is an items, type items, and it's not finding only one. So it found this one, essentially. This one has no UID attached, it looks like. And this is probably because this is old. So this is called, Andrew needs to change this to items old, don't use. We'll just say old. Because back in the day, this was my items class, and now it's causing me problems. So this problem was not with the module itself. This problem was with my project. And let's check and see if we can find the right types now. of type items. There we go. Alright, so now we go to stats and skills. Okay. No more issues. No more bugs. So I am going to actually now remove this code I added. This check UID. I don't need that. That was just because I thought that I would need it, but I don't need it. And as you can see, I need to optimize this script, I think, because the inspector gets fairly slow when it's up, and it's super slow now. Too slow, actually, for my taste, and maybe because the full inspector is being seen. Let me see if I toggle that off. It's a little faster. A tiny bit faster. It's still sluggish. This frame rate is not your issue, it's mine. It's not because of YouTube. Alright. So it happens when these are expanded. 1 isn't so bad. 2 isn't so bad. All of them, however, I option clicked, which opens them all. And this is going to be super slow. Yeah, so maybe I should optimize this. Alright, let me turn this off. Option click to close them all. The speed wasn't so much of an issue when there were only like 5, but when there's a ton. I shouldn't have even tested it. Now it's taking forever. Let's see what Muruku said. I'm gonna explain it because really I'm explaining it to myself. If I tell you, you're all my rubber ducks, you know. I tell you what's going on. And sometimes you guys do tell me what's going on and fix things for me, help me out. But often I just talk through because it's what would be happening in my head otherwise. So I really shouldn't have opened all these. I thought this might happen, and now it did. And now it's like taking forever. Yes, Alt on Windows. Option is Alt on Windows. I grew up on Apple and Macs, and sometimes I still catch myself about to say Apple C and Apple V instead of Control or Command C and Command V, because it used to be the Apple key. I'm not sure when they changed that. All right. Did it finish? No. I think I need... Okay. I think I need to just click 1 and just keep the Option/Alt key held down until, because I clicked stun up here. So I think eventually that's going to close. Or something else opened. Alright, I'm going to click and hold Option until something happens. There we go. Alright, so to-do item, make this faster. But for now, so the reason why I wanted to create things like starting spell and for starting item, I'll also have an item exposed, is to allow chain, for instance, It's not going to have a starting spell, but it's going to have a starting item. So from here, you can get this drop down, and it'll show all your items. So in this case, items, and then a drop down, and it will show all these. And this is the chain, so we're going to start with curious. Now I typed in before, this is the old method, and this is the new method. Now let me expand this. I'm still getting used to this smaller window whenever I'm streaming. I'm used to a wider window. The big thing here is that it's not actually keeping a reference to the item object, curious as the item object. It's keeping a reference to this unique ID, just a string. And that's important because that's how we're going to look it up. So, you know, the concept here is that the way you design your project, sometimes you can do slower things, sometimes you can't. In this case, we are going to be looking it up. The starting item happens in the character creation scene, and it's not an issue to look up all the different items based on this unique ID to find out curious. The same thing we would have done is gotten it by the name. Now we're just going to get it by unique ID. So it's no big deal. You wouldn't want to do it every frame, and that's probably what's happening here. Is I'm doing this every frame, and that's a problem. I don't want to fix that live here because that's not as fun. Instead, I want to get the starting things working and change my code to use this new system so I don't use strings. And the whole point now is if I change the name of Curious to Chain Armor, it'll keep the unique ID, but all the other stuff will change, and I don't have to worry about the fact that I hard-coded the name here as this starting item. That also means that if I have misspelled something, like Feeble Mind, it won't cause the problems that it caused yesterday. Jack, that is picky. Jack says not to be picky, but chainmail was historically only called mail, not chain or chainmail. You know, that is likely true. And whenever I watch Shadiversity, if any of you have never seen Shadiversity, it's S-H-A-D diversity, like university, but Shadiversity on YouTube. It's got some really clever videos where they talk about stuff, and there's some where they talk about like weapons and how the sword wasn't really the best weapon. There's better weapons and all this other stuff. Really cool stuff. And I bet there's some talk about armor and different types of armor too. But in general, yes, fantasy games are fake. Very fake. So let's see. That is very slow though. Man, okay. What do you think? Should I optimize it first, or should I just plow ahead and set these up? This is another issue. This doesn't always change. Another vest. It's slow. Plate armor isn't something you can learn at the beginning. Shield, however, is. So the whole point of these modules is to make it easier to manage data. You still have to code in order to use the data. Yeah, it's not going to do everything for you. I'm not building an RPG kit or anything like that. There are others who do that, and they do it well, and I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is build these, which essentially are meant to make it easier to manage the data, to set up data, to change data, and then how you use it is completely up to you. So in this case, items, magic book, spells, calm, novice. Well, let's see actually. So the spell, yeah. I might have to change some of my own logic now working with this new system. It's better to use this, I think, rather again than saying of calm, because of calm might change I might change it to of calming, ing. And I want to be able to do that without having to go back here and remember where I have to update everything. Or play the game and look for errors, which, if the game's an alpha, I want to avoid giving errors to people who might already be playing the game. What's larboard? Starboard? Larboard? Bow? Stern? Other words? I do want to get a boat, William, because that would be awesome. In my head, I want us to expand the environments to include a port town and also boats, because if you have a port town, you need boats, right? Yeah, so I'm going to have to cache these values somehow, because right now I'm calling it every frame, doing that array thing, and that's what's causing this problem. It's doing too many lookups constantly, and that's why it's so slow. So that is why. Too many lookups. Jeez. I was actually pretty happy with myself when I made this update earlier today. I started it last night, but then I finished it today, and the second part of it, it just worked. And I was like, oh, that's good, because that means I set it up nicely originally. So the modules, I started building them probably in March, but I've been adding the individual components to it periodically. I started with the statter skills, and then items came after. Dictionary came shortly after that, because I realized I wanted the custom data in a way that I could serialize and visualize differently and set up like this. Basically, as I build my game, I'm building the modules for myself and making them available for others. It's helping me keep honest with my own stuff, and it's also helping me learn new stuff, certainly, and ultimately any revenue from sales is helpful as well. Of course. And they are works in progress. They're not going to be, I'm making them, updating them. At some point they'll be 99% done, but it won't be until, I'm much further along with my game and I've added all the cool things to them that I need. Literally, I dog food it all. Man, I should probably just optimize it, because this is painful, isn't it? Jack, I said, so there's the delay. I said I should just optimize it, and then boom, your message came up thinking of speeding it up now will save a lot of frustration for you. Yeah. All right, let's do that. This wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you all the cool bells and whistles, but that's okay. Sometimes you do what you got to do. So this is the modules project. This is what I used to upload to the store. This is old stuff. I think I can delete it, but I just haven't deleted it yet, so I just kind of keep it there. But this is the actual package I upload to the store. And so we're going to be looking at stats and skills, and so we'll look at the demo, stats or skills, a whole bunch here. It's a lot faster here because there's less stuff to cause the slowdowns. But let's dig into it. So the first thing is this. I'm going to expose both of these as well. Okay. So we got all of these here. And again, just before I forget, so the items, you choose the item and then you choose the item itself. So you choose the items object and then the individual item. For stats or skills, stat or skill, you get all the stat or skills. And for learned ones, you only get the learnable ones. Just kind of keeps it more narrow. It might be a little easier when managing it. I suppose I could do one for modifiable stats and skills as well. But all right, let's see this editor script. Editor. Stats or skills. Editor. All right, so I'm going to bring this up again to remind myself what's what. Wrong one. Wrong one. There we go. All right, so we have at the top, draw. We're going to draw dictionaries, or actually, show dictionaries, show types, display all stat or skills. That's this one, okay? That's at the top, show new, space. For each stat or skill, display the stat or skill. Okay? And displaying the stat or skill. So, show the type header. That's this. We're trying to show the type header. If it changes, if it didn't change, we won't show it. And start vertical box. We got all this. End vertical box. Set dirty. Okay. Details. That's what we're looking for here. This is the dictionary, stat or skill dictionaries. And this is where we show the dictionaries. We got this button, turns them on and off. If we aren't showing them, then we return. Okay, remove any key values that exist here but do not exist on the main stat or skills. So this is making sure that this stays in line with the parent stat or skills so that there's no extra stuff. I don't think this one takes up a ton of resources. The header doesn't. It's going to be this section right here. And specifically, there's probably optimizations I can do in all of them. It's these ones that are going to be the biggest ones. So if we dig in deeper, show value pair, and we go down, learn stat or skills, this is where the issue is. And items is actually probably a bigger offender here because we have this items array, which does this code, and this code is probably causing everything, all the issues. So what we need to do is cache that value if possible, and so to do that, let's see. So this is a common script that's shared, so I can't put it here. Instead, I have to put it on the I mean, so what I'm thinking here is, yes, I could try to cache it, but the problem is if it ever changes, now I have to, periodically check it again to see if it changed, or add a button to update, because if you add a new list and then you come back and it's cached, it won't show up. Could just make it a object field where you drag in the object. I like the drop down though. Tonight's cocktail, I believe, will be in Manhattan because I'm out of dry vermouth. Otherwise, a bowl of RDA would have been the drink of choice. But without dry vermouth, I can't make that. But I am drinking coffee right now. It's almost out, but it's an iced coffee with extra caffeine. I need to change the name to Coding in Cocktails so that the cocktails comes later, because I couldn't code without drinking. Let's be honest with myself. I could try, but it might not work too well. So is it better to try to cache this? I would have to cache it somewhere. I guess I could redo it every time this comes up. I suppose. And so let's see. So we're on the stature skill. So I could put on the stature skill. I'm going to move this over here so they're side by side. That's the thing I kind of just like doing. So I'm going to try that. Let's see. Let's do private items items cached equals new. Wait, like that. Ah, is that it? No. I always forget how to do. All right. New items cached. So, what's the stature skill editor? There's no awake, right? Private void. Oops. Void on is on enable on validate. No, not validate. On scene GUI, let's see. Nope. On validate. Yeah, we don't want to do it on, I mean, I guess we could do it on validate, but that might make every single, there's no on enable for these scripts, is there? On, no. So, there might be an equivalent. Unity 3D editor script on enable. Whoa, that's bright. It's dark in this room. I gotta turn the light on. Hold on. All right. See, I know one of you listening is probably, hey, Jason snoring. Snow. It's really late in Ireland. There is an on enable. Where do I put it? This is a custom editor. Do you put it in the custom editor or do you put it in the script? The class. I would think the custom editor. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, good job. I can? I didn't see that. Let's see. Private void on enable. Well, I should spell it right too. Oh, do I have to do that? Protected override? That's what they say. Let's say cache items list or items array. Okay, so all we're going to do here is making an array of items. So I'm going to basically call this, I'm going to say items cached equals items array. Can I do that? Can't access private. So public then. Or is the better thing to do another method that's public? Like public static items get items array. And then this return items array. And then I can call this. So this should start at the beginning. And I should actually start by saying items cached.clear. Can I do that? Nope. I should probably just do items cached equals new array, and then fill it. And then in here, we'll say if string, no, not string. What am I doing? If script dot item. No, do I not? Oh, now I have to pass. All right, where do I use this? Okay, this is what I'll do. How about this? Can I do? I need to pass this script into it. I've got script here. It's just script, but I could pass it into here. Yeah. So what do I do? Or do I not have script here? I thought that I had a way to get this. My custom editor already has a non-enable. It does? Does it really? On enable. Not here, but this one worked. Well, we'll see. I don't see any error yet. So this is what I need to pass. A script is so I use it in all these different places. And I'd like to be able to say, if it's cached, then give the cached version. Otherwise, don't. So I will say, let's just pass it in, I guess. Items cached array. And we'll just say that equals null. So if cached array dot length is greater than 0, and return. So if the cache, return cached array. Otherwise, we'll do the new thing. Okay. What does this say? Possible null subverts. Oh. So we should then say if. How would you do that? If not equal null and. Alright, so if it's not null and the length is 0 above 0. So that means I need to also pass it to this and cached array. What is this? Oh, editor TS1. William, the official delay is probably about 30 seconds. But when I actually read what you write, it might be longer because it's the screen with the chat is off to the side a little bit. So I have to look over. Then when returning the items, you can write cached array question question cached array equals get all items. So if there's a cached array, whoops. So now, whoops, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Cached. Okay. So now in these, I need to pass that cached array value in. But I'm unsure how to pass that value in, because I don't have a reference to this script. So unless I add it up here, oh, I do, item. I'm calling it item, but I should change that to script. Script. Because that's what I've been using elsewhere. So items array, script dot cached. Nope. Items. What do I call it? Items cached. Items cached. That didn't work. Why didn't it work? Private, maybe? No. All right. Probably gonna need some advice on this one. Unless I put the items cached here, can I do that? Yeah. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Oops, cache. So I'll delete that. Don't need that, I think. So if items cached, it's a non-stack, so I gotta change that. If its length is greater than 0, return items cached. And items cached. So we need to make this static. All right. That should work then, right? So now on enable we'll publish that, and I'm gonna do a check here just to see. Debug.log cached items cached.length items. All right, let's just see if that works. I muted myself to drink some coffee, and I said, hey, it did, but I was muted. Hey, it did. All right, that's cool. Now I think that means it should be pulling from the cached list, and every time we come over here it should do it again. But if I go over here and come over here, it does not. If I go over here, that's interesting. That shouldn't be there. Oh, interesting. So it's happening on all of these, and that's causing a problem now. Darn it. So if I uncomment that out, huh. So this script, this message happens after you create it originally because Unity needs to import stuff. This shouldn't be happening now, but apparently there's no RPG data here. Huh. Did I just screw everything up? It appears that I've screwed everything up and that my taking out this didn't work. We're commenting of that. So how about I just go comment out all of this. I moved stuff there, so let's see. All right, that seems to be back. What is it about this? Is it the debug? I don't think so. What the heck? Okay. That's so weird. Hold on one second. My mom is calling. All right. When your mother calls, sometimes it's a good idea to pick up. Depends on your mother, I suppose. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on. Like, why would just having this code here is it because I've got two, or do I need to do protected void? Is it, can I not have two on enables, or do I need to do protected virtual void? I really don't know what virtual means. I'll try that. Nope. That's so strange. So, for whatever reason, just having this code here, even with this commented out, breaks everything. Let's see. Is it because I have N on enable? Yes. Okay. So it doesn't matter that there's no code here, just having this protected override void on enable screws everything up. Oops. All right. Jason Story says, so in the lowest of the tree of object have virtual on enable, then in all future ones, the virtual allows things up the tree to override the virtual one. All right, my brain needs to wrap around. I swear I have not had any cocktails, but my brain needs to wrap my head around that one. The lowest of the tree, and this is the highest. Scriptable object is the highest, if I'm not mistaken. And then custom editor scriptable object, and then this goes from custom editor module. So this is the lowest of the tree. So in this one, I write based on enable. So as we said earlier, I'm going to, tomorrow will my, hey, engage online. Tomorrow will be my day to figure out how I can say, hey, here's a link, come join me on the stream and talk, because that would be more efficient. So inside this new one, I want to write base.on enable. Because this is overriding the other one. Okay. And then I can do this. Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, without this, I was overriding my other on enable, which was gain the target type, and of course you need that. But this says first do that one, and then do everything else. Okay, so let me see this check again. I just want to confirm visually like how often this gets reset. If I go here, so every time one of these loads, it caches it. So that's okay. That's not often, and it's not every frame. And then I've got these here. So modification, heroism, and that should be faster. So now I need to do the same for these two as well, if I want to be super nice. So I'm going to do cache stat or skills array. And we'll do both of those at once. And let's see. And we're going to do learned stat or skills cached and stat or skills cached. So we'll do this one first. And this one second, and we'll have to do that again still. Cached, this, learned stat skills, and you'll say stat skills. And then this is going to be different. So I actually have to redo because yeah, so the idea is so get items arrays down here, but the stat and skills doesn't act the same way. It gives a string, and it requires the RPG data to be put in there, and that's attached to here. So you know what? How about this? Let's see if this speeds it up enough, because I do want to optimize this more, but I don't necessarily want to optimize it right now with everybody here. So I'm going to just comment this out for now. Zombie code it. It will come back to life. And I'm going to see if I can, if doing this has sped up the main project. So the script I have updated is the custom editor modules, and that should be here. So I'm going to export this package. Export, and we'll bring it in. And if I didn't make any mistakes, it's going to replace one script, and we'll see if it's faster. Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. So it's caching this. It's not caching these, though. Is that going to be a problem? We'll find out. I mean, it's faster already, it seems, maybe. All right, let's see. Fire magic, earth magic. Yep, that's faster. So items, magic book. Yeah, so it's really just that one. I don't know if I'm gonna have to do the other one because this seems much faster already. It should just be that whole looking up through your whole project for the items of that type. That was the big issue. I suppose it could be faster if I cache these as well, but I don't think I have to. I really don't think I do, because this seems snappy. Healing touch, air magic, items, magic book, and spells, magic missiles, novice. All right. None of these other ones give any. Oh yeah, these do. Can I even load all of these at once? And it's a little slower scrolling, but not much. So items, we need a hand axe, and items, short bow, items dagger, and items mace, items spear, staff, all right, and items short sword. All right, so that should be all the stuff for the character creation scene on items that get added as a starting item. So I can redo the code now, but I'm going to update my other stuff too. In my items list, I've got, let's see, conditions. I don't think this is going to be affected. I guess it could be a spell. Well, this is actually, let's see. I don't think I need to do that here. But, I don't think I use that in that way. So I don't think I'll need that. I'm pretty sure I use spell name at runtime, and I just populate that for reference, but I don't need to keep the unique ID, because during runtime, actually, it might need to keep the unique ID. But this gets populated during runtime, because poison could be caused by a poison spell or by something else entirely. So therefore, I would have to cast or check the UID during the game. So if you save the game while you have this on your character, it's the unique ID, not the spell name, that is saved. So I can look if the spell name changes between builds, for instance, that won't screw everything up, because suddenly this name can't be found. The unique ID will be the same. So better to change this to spell UID, or just spell. And we'll make this specifically an item. And then we will specifically say it's going to be a spell. This actually caches the unique ID for that items list. So if we look at the full inspector, now you can see this has a unique ID as well. But now dictionary, key values, spell has a unique ID. And then value items has a unique ID. And once we populate the item, that will be a unique ID too. So that will just make sure that's the case. And all of these, healing's instant, so we don't need it there. But this one, we will just set those. I can always do this at runtime too. That's not an issue. But hello, Christopher Main. A feeble spell. I don't know. That's scary. Testing it sounds scary. But that's essentially what I'm going to do when I rewrite the code. Is essentially test it live. That's So I think I will do that. And then I spells, let's see, what do I have here? I probably, oh yes, so skill required can be changed. Portrait particle, that could be changed too. I could have a whole list of portrait particles and items, portrait particles. So let me start by saying the condition, right? Condition can be, yeah. So condition can be a item, and I mean, even cast types could be a list of items. It's just strings, essentially. Projectile, same thing. Maybe later I will, well, it's a prefab, so I mean, it could be a list of items. I have a projectiles items list. Each one itself has a prefab, but then I can change the prefab without changing that in who knows how many different locations. So that's, in a way, actually, Jason's story, if you're still listening in, if I, our talk earlier about, you know, the delivery person in the basket, in a way, by having a projectiles list, a list of items called projectiles, and instead of this linking to the prefab for the projectile it's supposed to spawn, it links to the item of the projectiles, then it doesn't care what the prefab is. All it cares is the items there, and it's going to pull the prefab from that, and then I only have to change the prefab in one location. Potentially multiple things could cast the same projectile. Fireball could be cast by who knows how many different things, including non-player characters or even objects like a giant tower that casts fireballs or something, or a trap that casts fireballs or something like that. So that would be later, though. I'll have to do that later when I have projectiles. Same with cast type, I could do that. Skill required can definitely be a learned stat or skill. Spell icon, don't need that. Instant cost description can... Oh, one thing I changed, by the way, is now I show as text area. That was yesterday. Did I do that live? I can't remember if I did that live, but now this shows as text area, so that's nice. It's an option. Portrait particle. Eventually, this could be a item too, but for now, not. So for feeble mind. So this is the one test I did earlier, so that's why that's populated already. And then spells, feeble mind, novice. Wait a minute. Condition, so not spells. Conditions. I haven't added it yet. So I need to add that. Otherwise it won't work, right? So, feeble mind. And this is going to be, I'm going to misspell it. Jack, this is for you. Feeble mind misspelled. It's going to be a debuff. We'll add that. I think, do I need to add any values? I don't need to add any values. So in this case, these values are going to be added at runtime. All of these values, I believe, are going to be added at runtime by the script. So I just need to have it here as a condition. But the spell itself is going to be adding the values to that condition based on the math that happens at the time, based on the caster and all that stuff. So conditions, feeble mind. Oh, look, feeble mind. It's misspelled. Are you watching, Jack? I hope you're watching. Because now I'm going to be like, ah, shoot, Jack pointed out that feeble mind was misspelled. Let me, oops, not there. Let me change it here. Change it there. We go back to spells. And boom. There it is. Yes, Merry Christmas, Jack. Yeah. I actually feel good about this. This feels good. This is a good feeling. This is one of those happy dev feelings because this feels better. It feels a lot better than typing it in just to choose it from the drop down. When I add new spells and skills, they'll just be added if I change them. If the index changes, none of that will matter. That means I'm definitely going to want to do it with the portrait particles. But for now, I'll hold off for now. Nice. So I'm going to do that to all of these. Conditions, Feeble Mind, and Mind Magic. I didn't even set up these other ones. This is, I mean, this is hell of a lot easier than typing too, honestly. This feels good. This clicking feels right. Feels right. I still have to do the implementation in the code. That might be a little bit different. Christopher Main, you're working on a marketplace product for the UE4 store. Curious if you have any big lessons, advice from selling products on the Unity store. Yes, I do, actually. So the marketplace, Unreal Marketplace and Unity or Asset Store, the marketplace is different from the Asset Store in a couple ways. I've always felt the marketplace is harder to sell stuff. It's a much smaller store. I think a smaller audience as well. But it's harder to get seen. They don't have, like the Asset Store has all this stuff and all this stuff up here. They have some stuff up here, but it just seems hard to get seen. But the most important thing is going to be people judge books by the cover, right? So these images are the most important thing. That's your number one thing. If people don't click in, it doesn't matter how nice your description is, doesn't matter how good your video is, doesn't matter anything else. People don't click in. This is the same with games and books on the shelves. So if you think, oh, that's ugly, I'm not going to click on it. But if you think, oh, this nose on a star, what the hell? Wait. You might say, oh, there's a nose on a star and it's bleeding, so that's weird. Let me click on it. But, oh my God. If any of you are the publisher Pico, I'm not trying to insult you. This just creeps me out and is weird. Anyways, so books by the cover. Make sure your cover image is nice. That's the number one thing. So the implementation code, we can get to that in, well, can we get to that now? Let's see. Let me do Healing Touch. Healing Touch is already working in the code. And so let me just add that here, and we can do the update. So and then I can show you what the implementation entails, because it's not terribly difficult, but it's an important part or aspect to the whole module system, because it is intended specifically to not do everything for you, to take you to a point and to make it easier to do things like the data organization, but how you implement it is completely up to you. Coffee is gone. All right. So now that we did the healing, Feeble Mind will have to set up that spell later. But healing should work. Let's just press play and see. Make it maximized so those of you who didn't see it yesterday can see all the bells and whistles. We got particles on the portraits, which is fun. All right, so we got our scene here. I have to learn the spell.
This will come in handy.
I don't know which one's
This
which.
will come in handy.
And then we have Healing Touch. Now, none of them are hurt, but I can still cast it, and you'll see your magic points go down, and the particle effect happened right there. So, so that works, and there should be no errors in the console, at least not from that. There's a couple errors, but they are known errors. that I put there. And so that's great, but we need to change the code now to take into account this value instead of that value. So so let's do that. Let's find the code first. That's the first step, is where the heck did I put the code? And that's actually why I have so many debug logs. Interesting. Do they not allow Discord? I'm going to type in Discord. Discord. So now you can see how many seconds there are between when I typed it and when it came up. The audio came up. That's the delay. All right. Inventory.
This will come in handy. This will come in handy.
Magic spells. Clear that. All right. So. Particle name, cast on this player, casting this. Checking if we have a condition. No condition. Okay. All right, so we could do the condition part first, because the actual, this learned skill required happens when you learn it, not when you cast it. So, but the condition happens when you cast it. So, particle name, healing, okay. Casting, healing touch. Spell data, healing touch novice. Check if we have condition. Has condition of greater value. So we're going to be looking for condition, the key condition right here. So, key condition. If the condition name doesn't match, skip this. So, this is where you have an option on implementation. So there's multiple ways of getting this data. What we're really trying to do in this case, and I'm going to just see how many times we put this 2 places. So add condition. So this is the first section where we're going to see if there is a condition. And if there is no condition, then we're returning completely. So instead of checking the value string, I'm going to check for value learned stat or skill to the key condition. And that relates to, hopefully you guys can all see the size. The size is okay. Let me know if it's not. I can make this a little bit bigger. So this is the key. These are the value types. And I should actually specify this is going to be, oh, this is actually not, so no, not learned stat or skill. Value item. Condition. And it's going to return this UID. So at this point, all I really care is whether it's null or empty. If it's not null or empty, that means we have a condition. Otherwise, we don't. So that part is fine. That's fast. It's not going to be an issue. The issue is going to come up when we need to know what the name of the condition is. And that's going to require a lookup. Now you have the choice between caching that or not, and your game might need speed, in which case you might need to cache it in some way. Your game might not care about the speed because it's not that big of a deal for the project, in which case you don't need to cache it, and there's multiple ways of getting that data. You could, of course, cache it to this value on load, or even write in a script attached to this that says, okay, well, every time this changes, update it here too. So it's saved at the edit time rather than runtime. That's an option. Now, dictionary won't do that for you because dictionary is meant to be flexible. It's not supposed to say, oh, string is always going to be the name of this. That's not the case. For your project, maybe it is, in which case you can add on a script attached or to it to automate that. But so in this case, what I think I'll do, let's see. let's find the other use case of it. So we're looking to see, in this part of the code, we're looking to see if the condition already exists with the greater value. Because the idea is that if you already have, if you're getting, let's say heroism cast on you, we don't want, 2 or 3 instances of that heroism. We instead want to keep the greatest value of heroism. Or if you're being cursed, the greatest value of a curse. If you have the, etc. So you only want one value of it, essentially, and it's the greatest. So if there is a greater value already attached, then you don't want to overwrite it. But if it doesn't have a greater value, then you do want to overwrite it. So I'm wondering, condition full name, spell dictionary, get condition. So I can't trust that I'm going to have this because I'm going to unhide that. So for future ones, I won't have it. I'm going to get item, and that's going to be this UID. So it's not going to match full name. But it should match the UID. So the condition should keep its UID on it. Because the unique ID is, even though the object condition is going to be cloned from the scriptable object into the game, so that can be passed around, etc., the unique ID is going to stay on it because that signifies this as this object. Not this is this instance of this object, but rather this is a condition with this unique ID. So unique ID should match. Yeah. All right. And so let's just walk through the code here. So this is the give code on give condition, give. And let's see, spell name, all these things here, casting, spell name at mastery. We can walk through the debugs as well. Where is that? All right, so that's this part. Then item spell data, get item spell name. All right. Has condition of greater value spell data. If it doesn't, then we're going to add condition spell data. And this get value item, condition name, get value item, key condition. All right. So this is not the condition name. Because we're getting the value item. We're getting the unique ID. So this will return the unique ID. So if I want to get the name, I changed that earlier? I guess I did. I thought I changed it in a different area. Yeah, so if I want to get this name, and I do want to get the name, because I want that to be human readable, I'm going to put it to the UX, so I'd rather do that here than do it later. Do it at the point of adding the condition rather than doing it later. So I'm going to change this to condition. Okay. We're going to do move condition name down here. And then change this to condition UID, just to be specific. So if there is no condition, then there's no condition to add, essentially. So if this is blank, we're not adding a condition. So what we can really do, just make that Okay. And then condition name is going to be based off of this. I guess, I think someone once said that these dots are essentially lookups and they take resources, so it might be better to cache it first rather than doing that. And so now we're going to say spell data.dictionary.get value, get key value from unique ID, pass in that unique ID, dot value, wait, I'm confused myself. So this is the unique ID of healing, of the condition healing, and I need the name. Yeah, so it's conditions. So do I have a reference to my conditions? I do. Game data dot wait, no, RPG data dot, no, conditions. There we go. Dot get, no, where's, hold on. Let me remind myself where I keep this stuff. So on game here, I should have a reference to conditions, which is this. So, and I also have up here static game. So, so this should be game dot conditions. There we go. Game dot, it's just get item by UID, passing condition UID, and dot name, dot full name. All right, so there you go. Because part of the items class has the this method. Let's just go back. Where is it? Give condition has this get item by UID. So you just pass in the UID. I think this can be optimized. Maybe this is a wonderful opportunity for me to learn something in a live chat with Jason on one of our channels, or both of our channels actually. Who knows? Can we stream to 2 YouTube channels at the same time? That'd be interesting. Anyways, this could probably be made faster. It's not terribly slow, but it is slow. But it could probably be made faster. So give condition is now going to look at the condition name once we have the UID, rather than looking it up that way. And so really what we're doing is here, so get item by that, and then condition data, there we go, and that flips that around. So now we only get the condition once by the UID, and we get all the juicy details that we need. And then we're going to clone the data, keeps the same UID of course, and then do all the stuff. All right. And I did put in a special code, special key command for runtime to harm players. Oops. What did I do? Somewhere, I think... Oh, this needs to be cleaned up. Check. Reduce keystroke. Test keys. That's what I did. Shift and 1 will harm the player for 10 hit points. Okay, so let's see if this works. So I use my condition system for healing. Healing is essentially a condition that expires immediately, but does its action. When its action happens to be, it heals. So if I harm this player, shift 1. All right, so there's a also opens that if she's selected, but that's okay. So she's harmed. So now third player here, she's gonna learn the spell.
This will come in handy. This will
and
come
then
in
we'll
handy.
cast the spell, and it should. Good, it healed her. Everything. So that is the implementation of it, and that's long story short. Miruku, sorry. That's what I mean by implementing it. So, modules is all about data and allowing you to create data and customize it. But how you use that is going to be up to you. And that's where it gets a little bit, you do need to know some coding. Of course, it's not like a drag and drop game making solution by any means. Instead, you got to figure out how you want to use the data. Looks like I don't even need condition name because it's not used. Yeah, look at that. All right. So that's how we do the condition there. I'm going to go take a leak real quick. Apologies for the details, and I'll be right back in a minute. And I'm back. While I was doing that, I realized I should have special interludes about cocktails and cocktails of the night. Paul, yes, but no. So I'll tell you what the plan is for the Steam page. Paul's asking if Legend of the Stones has a Steam page yet. It does not. It has Magic Pig Games. This site, which is not yet made, I mean, it's here, but I don't think anyone's ever visited. It has my tabletop games. Did you know I make tabletop games too? This is one. This is the one that I think, if for those of you who like tabletop games, this is the one that I think you all like. This one's fun too. If you like Splendor or something like that, or Century Spice Road, this is more akin to that, and it's meant to be played by adults and kids alike. This one is meant to be. This one's it's a 1.5 to 2 hour game. It's fantasy. It's building up your stuff, fighting, participating. It's fun. This is the one that folks at work would ask me to bring again so they could play it again. And I spent time making these nice, pretty boards. But anyways, I make those two. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, it was screwed. I went to a real game test in the San Francisco Bay Area thing, run by a guy who does development for a lot of tabletop games you might know. I was able to play a prototype of a Pandemic game, funny enough, by the creator of the Pandemic series. He was there testing a new card game, Pandemic, which apparently won't be out until next year, but they were testing it last year. So that's the type of place it was, but then the pandemic happened. They just started those up again. I haven't been going to them yet, but I do plan on it. But anyways, I haven't really opened this box. It's sitting like 2 feet to my right. I haven't opened that box since then, but this is definitely something I'd like to do videos of this development as well, because there is one thing with these numbers right here. These, I could use some advice on how to make those a little bit better. But anyways, so this is here, and is it Legend of the? It's probably legendofthestones.com. Ah, this is what it is. It's not up yet. So once the plan though is that once I get this to a point where I can make pretty pictures and videos, so some basic stuff, bad guys, movement, dungeons, one dungeon, one exterior, one town, stuff like that. Then I will get the Steam page up as I start making the game more. So I want to get to a base point, and what I'm doing for marketing now is these live streams for marketing, essentially. So that's the plan there. And the cocktail of the night is a Manhattan cocktail. Cocktail of the night is Manhattan. I should pre-make some videos of these. It's a classic cocktail. It's very easy to make, and honestly, I'm not picky, so all it really is 2 parts your booze, whiskey, rye, something like that, and 1 part sweet vermouth, and a few dashes of the bitters. You don't need the cherries. Fancy places better give you a cherry if you're going to pay $10 to $15 for a drink, but you don't need a cherry, really. I, at home, will just put mine on ice, and I'll stir it with my finger, because I am not fancy. But otherwise, you could put it in a shaker and stir it with a spoon, especially if you're serving it to somebody else. Don't use your finger if you're serving it to somebody else, unless that somebody else is somebody who doesn't mind tasting your finger. The important thing for me about the Manhattans, first, is fun to have a nice cool glass, not these martini glasses. Those are terrible. Why ever they were ever invented, I don't know. But these glasses are cool. Nice tumbler is cool too. But the type of booze you use matters. The taste changes, and not just between bourbon, whiskey, rye, or whatever, but each brand has a different flavor. So definitely figure out which one you like. I personally like Buffalo Trace bourbon, but other bourbons will do just fine. In fact, what's this down here? I've got a bottle. This is a Basil Hayden's whiskey, bourbon whiskey. So I'm going to be opening that up tonight because I ran out last night, and that's what I'll be having. So that's the cocktail of the night for later today. But first, we have to do something worthy of having a drink. And to do that, we've updated this. I want to get that Feeble Mind working. I also want to redo the logic on the character creation scene to use the new stuff we were just doing. But I want to get Feeble Mind working because that's what I really wanted to do yesterday, and I didn't get to do it. So that's what I want to do. Actually, I should just try casting it. Let's see where I left off. See if there's any errors. See if it actually works. It might just work, for all I know. If I did a good job setting up the whole system, then it should just work. I need to turn the fan on, too. It's hot in here. Let's see. Not that button. The fan is on. All right, we'll set the cool temperature down 1 degree then. All right, so let's cast Feeble Mind and see what happens.
This will come in handy.
I don't know which
This
spells
will
which.
come in handy.
Feeble Mind, it does all that stuff. All right, let's cast it here. All right, so the particle doesn't work right, and I got an error there, and I'm still in the cast mode. All right, so it didn't completely work. I think I remember that's what happened yesterday. So let's see what this. I do have AC. It just wasn't on it. I've got set to 77. It was 78. Now it's 77. I had the fan on, but it just wasn't working. Oh, Paul, I stick to the same. I mean, I've got a few that I go through, but I often will have the same drink for a while until I run out and have to change. But there's a few that I like. Manhattan's a simple go-to, of course. Manhattans don't have to be fancy. It's just mixing some things together. It's really about the presentation. That's what makes it fancy or not. All right, so we're missing the value string, get value string. Let's see where we call this. Give condition 179. Set other information. All right, so this is, let's dig down a little deeper. I think I know where this is starting from. This is where it copies stuff. Set other information. So we're going to add a condition. When we add the condition, we do a few things. So here we are doing our changes that we just made. Condition to add. Let's see. Condition to add feeble mind. Spelt correctly. All right. Item. We clone it. So if it's an instant, then we go down a different path. We haven't coded that yet, so it's not an instant. We'll have to deal with this warning later. That's probably why that particle looked funky. Left up is different. So modify by proficiency and all that. But we know that it's set other information. That's not descriptive. I should have been more descriptive, I think. So we're going to set the values. The player condition is the clone that's on the player. That's why it's called player condition. So spell data, we're going to set these values, values base, values, all the values that we set up in our items thing over here. We're pressing, so I'll just show that so we can just see, be on the same page and make sure. For spells, when we do feeble mind, novice, so these values is what we're copying over, I believe. Values, base, add, stat and skill, clone. Let's see, for each star skill and spell data, values base, which should be here, we're going to clone those over. Not copy, but clone. Okay. And then set duration. That one's going fine. So we don't really need to look at that. Set other information and then set period information. Period information only happens if the spell is a period spell or a condition is period. It wouldn't be on the spell here. It would actually be on the conditions. If the condition, like poison, will be a period spell and there will be an effect period. This would be, say, like 1. So every 1 minute in game time, it will do its thing. Feeble mind is not that. So there should be no period information to set. Yep, get value float period equals 0, which it was for, it will be for feeble mind. Then I guess this is doing item spell data, not condition. That might be the condition. Other information. All right. Is it a spell? Yes. What are we passing in here? We are passing the spell data and the player conditions dictionary. So this is, again, the condition, a clone of this condition. And that's why this is 0, because we actually copy this over from the spell. So we're cloning the condition. So these are all the items. This is all the items, and each one of these is an item. So I'm going to clone the feeble mind condition. And pass that clone's dictionary. So let's this, essentially, all these values, key values, and the spell data, which is from the spell item. And that's passed into this right there. So we're passing the spell data in the player's dictionary. And then on the dictionary, we are basically copying this. We're saying is spell is true because we know it was from a spell. Spell name, we're passing that. Caster skill points is skill points, etc. So where does this go wrong? Set value string on 179. So the spell data, or spell name rather, we're passing spell name because I changed this to spell. Boom. That is it. The effect of Feeble Mind makes you less smart. So currently, I might change this, but currently it reduces your wisdom. And wisdom affects various things like your spell points, the strength of your spells, and perhaps things like lockpicking as well. Small impact on that. Huh. I don't really bite people. I mean, I used to when I was a little kid. I guess I deserve a drink. Let's see. So, if you remember earlier, this used to be spell name. Now it's just spell. And that's why this is going wrong. And instead of a string, I'm being saying value to item. And I'm also going to do items. Set value item. Do I not have... Okay, spell data, object name, set value, spell data, UID. So I'm really trying to get the unique ID of the spell, because the name of the spell might change. Before I was doing the spell name, now the name might change, therefore I need to store the UID, and later whenever I display the name, that's when I'll look up the spell by the UID and change that. Set value item. But I also need to add this, and I'm going to have to change this on the other dictionary and the stats or skills too, because item is not enough. The unique ID exists, but you also need to know which set of items it's in. So I'm going to add this to dictionary here. Where is dictionary? Dictionary. There it is. Click into it. We're going down to line 780. So, all right. And that means give condition. So we also need to add items. Spell data. So, well, we know it's a spell, so maybe we don't need that. But for safety's sake, I'm going to do that, and we're going to say game.spells.uid. So the reason this works is on my game. This just holds all the data, and it also is holding all the references to the scriptable objects. So spells is here, and each group of items, of course, has its own unique ID. So now later, I already know this is a spell, so I probably don't need to save that. But I'm going to save it just in case. I actually don't think I need to save that, but because I know it's a spell, so I can always just say spells get the UI, the item by the UI by this UID. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right. So let's see if that worked. I'm just gonna have to pause and play, and I'm gonna click the play button. I'm not gonna press P. You can't make me press P to stop and play. And the truth is, I try to remember to press P. I'm gonna do it, but I didn't work. Or it's just slow. Or it's frozen. Or it paused. Is it Shift P? P. Shift P. Command P. Ah, it's Command P. See, I didn't even remember. Alright, let's see if Feeble Mind works. And if it does, we should see this Wisdom go. I'm going to cast it on this character. Wisdom is 9.9 right now. So let's see if that works. And if it works,
this
great.
will come in handy. This will come in handy.
Feeble Mind. Let's clear these out. No bugs. Particles weird. Stats. Okay, well, let's see. Let's dig into it. Feeble Mind's long enough, technically, that it should still be on this data for player 1 here. I haven't coded the conditions list yet, so it does not. That's why it's not showing up there. But there should be a list of conditions here. Feeble Mind, it's here. Okay, that's something. And spell is this UID, so that technically should be the Feeble Mind spell. Is spell? Yes. Values base, wisdom. Alright, so this could be where I'm going wrong. This could be where I'm going wrong. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's see. Cast on this player. I want to make sure I'm actually recomputing their stats. Because really it should be subtracting, I believe, 1 from her stats, but I don't know. So new player. Compute stats for menu panel. So I need to compute stats again after a condition is added. Condition to add. Conditions add. And then recompute stats for the player targeted. So this should be give condition, player condition, target player dot compute final stats. Do I have to pass in stat or skill? Oh no, this is old. No, wait. Alright, so this is... Yeah, okay, so I can pass in. Yeah, this is my way of saying, hey, this might need to be updated, but let's see if it does. So compute final stats should work. It's just saying it's expensive. It is. But in this context of the game, it shouldn't be an issue. Now think. Good night, Engage. Thanks. I'll do my best. Alpha testing coming soon, Sir 7. I hope so. Yeah, the problem is, of course, got the full-time day job, and that limits my time that I can actually spend on this and limits the speed. If only I had full-time, not day job, then I could go faster. But yes, as soon as I get these things going, then yeah, I want it. Like I want to get it out there. I want to get the alpha version out. I want people to be able to provide feedback, and there's just so much more to do on it. Is the problem? Let's see, which one's Feeble Mind?
This will come in handy.
All right, so the right one's Feeble Mind. All right, cast it there. Let's check out the character. Stats. Okay, it didn't seem to work. I should have. All right. This is happening. Compute final stats. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I never add conditions to the compute final stats. I might have a to-do. Update load conditions of panel. Nope, that's not that one. Nope, not that one. Okay. For each star skill, if it can't be modified, then continue if it can't be modified, rather. And compute final stats for that specific spell. And character class, character race, learn skills, equipment, conditions. And I see I removed my to-do. That's the problem here. So this is why there isn't affecting. I didn't ever code that. So I guess I need to code that now. So we're going to do, I guess I should probably move each of these into their own method because this is a very long method. And I think Jason Wyman would be mad at me, very upset that this method is so long. So I will start that best practice right now and say compute conditions effects. Is that what I should call it? I can always change it later. Final stats. Okay. Conditions effect on final stats. And I'm going to have to pass into this a couple things. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write it here and then I'll move it. How about that? That might be a little bit easier. So we're going to do a for each string condition. Let's see. What is the player's conditions a string of? Oh no, it's condition objects. Okay. So item condition in. Oh, it's already on the player. Conditions. So for each condition in conditions, what are we doing? It's a good question. That's a very good question. What are we doing? What are we doing? For each condition, the value, base value, I believe we're subtracting the base value, but let's see. This will affect the base value plus the per skill point value. Values base, values per skill point, wisdom, 0.5 times caster details, caster skill points, 1. You can ignore all these other empty fields. So it should be 1.5 that we're going to subtract from wisdom, which means I actually need to make those negative in my my data. That's a good catch right there, because yeah, right now it's going to add it, but that's fine. We can change that later. That's easy to change once we get this coded. Now I have to remember what I was doing for the coding. I think it's essentially this. At some point I'm going to have to refactor this and make it more efficient too. So for each condition, yeah, okay. Oops, I need to make a note. Don't forget about resistance. Might have to do that later at some point. All right, so for each stat or skill or conditions, for each one of these values base combined, let's see, we're on the player. Values base combined is different from values base. Maybe that's what I need to look at. Whoa. Okay, so ignore values base. We're looking for the combined ones, and those aren't there. Okay, so maybe I don't need the combined ones in this regard. Combined is when yeah, it's the combined of all the various things. I think that's built into the stats and skills. I'm not going to explain it now because I'm not sure if I give the right explanation. So I don't need combined on this one. Instead, I just need the base one. So values base. So remove combined from each of these. And if the name of that does not match the name that we are computing, like in this case, wisdom. So for each one of these values base, oh man, okay, let's give it a minute. There it is, values base and values per skill point. Okay. So, where'd it go? Oh yeah, so wisdom. All right, so for each stat or skill in values base, there's only one. If it matches the stat or skill we're modifying, then we're going to say condition value equals that, and condition proficiency, say prof for that. I think somewhere I saw a thing that's saying that we should really write out entire proficiency rather than prof, because later I might not know what prof means. I also need to add those, so we'll do that here. Starting at 0, which means no effect. So the proficiency is going to add the base value, add the base value proficiency for the value and the base proficiency, and then per level we're going to do this, but instead of multiplying it by the player's level, which in other things we modify by the player's level. This one we care about the caster's level. So we're going to say condition dot dictionary dot get value let's see, condition has dictionary get value, I think it's an int. I'm just going to double check here just to make sure it could be int or float. It's a float, okay. Oh, that's right, because a level could be 1.1 if it's modified, something like that. So get value float, caster level, and yeah, so that's that. And I'm going to cache this. So dictionary caster dictionary equals condition dictionary. So we can just say condition dictionary. I think someone said that's a little bit faster, so I'm going to go with that. Same thing here. And now this one is the value per skill point. So again, we don't care about the player's skill point. What we care about is the caster's skill point. So caster skill points. So we'll do that here as well. And that should give us our total value and proficiency for this stat, which is wisdom, or wherever it is, wisdom. And then we're going to add, final value is going to add all these together. So other value, condition value, and proficiency, condition proficiency. And that should do the trick. Now again, we need to make those values negative, but that's fine. We'll test it before doing that just to see if there's a change. A debuff, uh-oh. Did I write debuff? Oh no, debuff is a debuff. That's a type of thing. When the time for debug condition expires, is there a mechanism to undo the damage? Yeah, so it actually just recomputes it removes the condition from the list and recomputes the stat. And since the condition is not there, it recomputes it from without including that. The base value you can use base value in different ways. It doesn't have to be used the same way. Every stat has a base value and a final value, and also points. So there's points, base value, and final value. The idea is that base value doesn't change, at least for my purposes. You can use it differently if you want. Points does change. So like hit points is points. It can change up and down. And then things like might. If you change the points, then that's going to change it permanently. But if it is what was I saying? I read some of the comments and something got derailed. If it's what was I saying? Oh gosh darn it. The base value and points and final value. Final value happens after bringing in all the details of the things that affect that value. So a player has a stat like wisdom. They have assigned, say, 13 points. Without any other modification, their final value is going to be 13. However, there's the concept of proficiency that's built into the system. And if their proficiency is less than 0, then it's going to be multiplied by 1 plus that value. So it could be more than 0 too. And so the actual proficiency of the stat, or if the proficiency is a total of 0.1, for instance, and their points are 10, to make it easy, then their total value would be 11, which is 10 times 1.1. If the condition, though, has a -1 for the base value and a -0.1 for the proficiency, then it would essentially say, okay, the base value is now 10 minus 1, 9. And the proficiency is now 0.1 minus 0.1, which is 0. So the final value would be 9, not 11. Because you're affecting both the proficiency and the final value. In this case, though, it doesn't affect proficiency. It only affects the value and the value per skill point of the caster. So if the caster is more skilled in mind magic, then it will be, say their skill point's 5 and it's 0.5 per skill point, so it would be 2.5 plus the base of 1, so 3.5 total. So, yes, base plus points plus modifiers equals final. And modifiers can be used many different ways. So some of that's built into the stat or skill system, where you just have to call one thing. But in this case, I'm writing my own because I want to bring in conditions and all these other concepts that aren't built into the stat or skill system. Because again, the modules are there for data management and creation rather than utilization. And how you use it is completely up to you. All right, let's see if this worked. I hope that made sense. This is one of those things where I think, like, obviously I can do better all the time of making the code itself better. But the concept, I think, is pretty cool. But it's hard to explain, I think, because it's very abstract in some ways. So again, her wisdom is 9.9. So you will. And game's being slow because this is up, the inspector's up. That's what makes it slow. All right, clear this just in case. Attach that. All right, no bugs. That's good. And wisdom 11.2. So now we need to change the value to negative. So the values are actually supposed to be -1 because you lose it, and -0.5. It's probably too strong. I'm going to change these as well. -5 and -0.75 and -5 and -1 and -3, -0.5. I mean, one of the interesting things is if you want to make a hard version of your game, you could technically copy spells here and make it spells hard and change the values here so that the values make the game more difficult. And then instead of referencing spells, you reference spells hard, and now your entire game just uses different math, different numbers, essentially feeding the math. And just all you really have to do is set it up here and just change it in one place on, your main game data, and boom, it's different values. So that's pretty neat, I think. And let's check it once more, and we'll also check to see if it disappears automatically. I don't know if I've coded that part yet. I feel like I did. But maybe I didn't. Alright, so let's cast it first. And we'll fix the mesh thing too.
This will come in
handy. Should be an easy enough fix, I hope. Cast it there. Chuck. She is now dumber than she was. 8.6 instead of 9.9. And if we look at the game data, and we look at her condition, Feeble Mind has a... Okay, it will be in the dictionary. It has a end time, which is this value, 153,429, 153,429.3, so 429.3. And if we go to game time, we should see the actual value. Oh, the actual value isn't shown here. All right, well. Oh, I freaking pushed the wrong button. That's fine. Just do it again. I accidentally pressed play instead of... It wasn't paused. I need to unpause the game, and I pressed play on Unity. So...
This will come in handy.
Alright. So... we have this going. Time counter. So this should be this value. And if we go down here, so 1453.429, technically this should be updating, and it's not. So that could be a problem. So, but theoretically, if this is underneath that, then it should disappear. So let's find out. I'll just make this. I'm going to pause first, and then make this 2. So it's definitely underneath the current game time. Go forward 1 step, 2 steps. It didn't disappear. So I believe that must mean I didn't code for it. I must not have coded for it. So let's do that. Let's do that. How do I code for it? Where do I put this? Player. I mean, I feel like I already did something about this. But maybe not. So, if we're checking conditions, I feel like that would live on the player script, right? Like check condition expirations. And then we would put that down here, private void, check condition expirations. And essentially, let's just loop it out. We'd say for each, actually, we're going to need this one, for int I equals 0, I is less than conditions dot count I plus plus. And so for each one, we're going to say if, wow, let's, oops. I'm going to restart the game so I can see what's actually in the game. I prefer seeing what's in the game data as I type it out. Find it. What? My mic is buzzing, popping? How bad? Let me turn up my own volume so I can hear myself. Oh. Is it the background noise or me? And that is my fingers. Connection coming in unplugged. It must be a some sort of data transfer thing. I don't think the plugs are coming undone, but perhaps the connection is getting like cut or something. Let's see. What was I? Oh yeah. That background noise is the computer fan mostly. And then probably the house fan too. Let me turn my own volume down for myself, my headphones. All right, let's do this again. Inventory.
This will come in handy.
Find magic cast on her. All right, pause this. So she has conditions, and conditions has end time value float. So float end time equals condition dot conditions I dot dictionary dot get value float end time, and if end time is less than or equal to game dot game data dot game time dot where is it? Dot now. I think I add now. Then remove condition Oh. So, okay, if I remove a condition, I'm going to mess up my loop. Audience question. In a for each loop, if I remove the one I bring up, does it break the loop the way that it would break if I removed it here? I mean, if it's doing it every frame, I guess it doesn't really matter. I can just break the loop. And the next frame, it would take away the next one. So that's not a big deal, actually. So let me do that. No big deal. Remove condition, conditions I, and then return. So we're only going to remove one per frame, per player. So we're going to say, but I still would like to know the answer, so if any of you know. Cache what you're going to remove. Oh, I see what you mean. So that would be like saying new or list item conditions to remove equals new list item. Is this an issue with garbage collection or anything? Add conditions I see, and then remove conditions, pass in conditions to remove, and we'll do that, and this is going to be a list of items, conditions, and then for same issue though, right? Because now I still have a list that I'm going to iterate through. Let's try it. Let's see if it breaks. I guess that would be... Cache the count only. What do you mean, cache the count only? Oops. Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. That's an interesting question. So, actually, I mean, one thing I know I could do is just iterate backwards. That won't cause any issues. So I could say, start here. While condition is greater than or equal to 0, and then I minus minus. So that would go backwards, and then it wouldn't be an issue. So say remove condition. Item condition to remove, and then we'll say actually we don't even need to pass the condition, it's really just I, and I don't even need to do this message, so I'd say conditions.remove at I, don't return, and not int remove or bool removed conditions equals false, and we'll say removed is true, and then if we didn't remove conditions, then return otherwise. We're going to say compute final stats again. If we remove conditions, we have to compute final stats again. All right. expirations. All right, I think that would work. Count -1. Let's see, if there's 10 conditions, then I will equal 10. So I think you're right. And the 10th one will be 9. So we need to start, you're right, at 1 less. Thank you, Brian, for that call out. And then that would go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's 10. And yeah, thanks, Brian. You just saved us some bug work. All right, I'm going to restart the game and try it again. I only have one condition right now set up, so we can't test if removing 2 at once works, but I'll have to set up another one and test that. Let's see. 3.
This will come in handy.
Yes, it will. All right, clear that just in case. Test that. All right, pause. Make sure she's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. 153429 and 153366. So I'm going to clear this, and make this 3, 6, 3, 6, 9. So in 3 seconds, or something, or maybe now is higher because this should get removed at some point if we're actually checking, and if now is getting updated. There's a lot of ifs here, and that didn't work in 3 seconds. So 153369. This is not getting updated. Let's look at game time. Game time. Game time is also a module. This is the old version. This is the game module 1. Now equals float time counter. Time counter is main source of truth. It's a double, and it probably never gets updated. When does it get updated? It should get updated here. Is there any returns here? Oh, yeah, there are returns. All right, so that's what's going on. What if I move this up here? Where are the returns? The first return, if pause level, then we'll return. Okay. Sub counter. Seconds per game minute. So this is going to toggle up minute every one of those. So I would put this up here. Right there. So as long as we're not paused, we'll compute game time. Game time is going to compute all that. So we're really going to be a split second delayed. But I think that should be okay. I don't think that's going to mess anything up. Brian, what do you mean make a function just forces it? I wasn't sure when you said that. What it's in reference to, I guess.
This will come in handy.
Now we're going to look at game time again. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So now it should be updating. All right, good. So that's constantly updating. 153, 376. So we'll make this 386. So technically, in 10 seconds, this should disappear. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing happened. All right, 153,386. Let's just check. Is it 153,386? Okay, it didn't happen. So, why didn't it happen? So we add this to the player. Oh, I wonder. This might not actually be, yeah, it's never used. Because, okay, so we can still call it, but we have to call it from somewhere else. Because it's I don't know the specifics of the tech behind it, but because player is not a mono behavior, I think it needs to be a mono behavior to have update, unless you do like a tick where you call tick from another thing. So so I actually can use this, but I have to call player update on another update. Yeah. All right. Where else do I call this from? Okay. So player update. I can call this from. Call it from lots of places. It would make sense to call it from game, I suppose. Or actions. Maybe from actions. These actions is supposed to be the player actions, like actions the player does. So that doesn't necessarily make sense. So maybe game. Game is supposed to just hold all the main game data. Should I create a new one that's just auto actions? No, I'm going to say it lives in game. This is a mono behavior. Do I have update already? Is it ready? Update. Update. Tick. For each player and players. Oh, data.player. And data.players. Data player. Player. Player.update. I can actually call it tick instead. Tick. This is actually something I learned from Jason Wyman in the first architecture course, I believe it was. I signed up, well worth the money. I learned this tick, and I was like, what are you just talking with tick? What is this tick thing? And I realized, oh, it's basically an update, but a special type of, it's like update, but you're calling it yourself. All right, so that should work then. We'll have to restart because there's going to be a bunch of errors if I don't restart. By the way, if you haven't given the video a thumbs up, I'd definitely appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd definitely appreciate that too. And thanks for watching. I have to say, it's very helpful. Very nice to have the friends here helping out. Let's see. Excuse me. Using the keyboard to open that. There's that bug where the camera keeps moving.
This will come in handy.
Okay, cast it there. And pause again. I just want to get the right game time. We are at 1379, and this expires at 385. So it's 6 seconds. Perfect. And there we go, back to 9.9. All right. Is this an error? Nope, that's probably a light probe or some fucking probe or some other error. Unity's throwing that one. There we go. That worked. So, are there other spells that we could easily use? Let's see. Spells. What are the other spells? Calm is one. I think is calm. No, calm's not a starting spell, is it? Let's see. That would be under stats and skills. Air magic is magic missile. Body is healing touch. Earth, stun. Stun's a different type of condition. I don't know if I'm ready to code that. Oh, calm is, okay, we can do calm. And then we can cast both and see if both disappear in the same frame. And that will be cool. So let's set up calm. Now that we're on a roll and we can do it easily, so we're going to go to spells. We are going to remind ourselves what we're doing here. So this is where we set the values. So calm is going to do a few things. What should calm do? I think it should affect the accuracy to some degree. So we'll say accuracy by skill point, and maybe maybe it also lowers your speed a little bit. So like maybe there's a positive 0.5 to your accuracy, but a negative 0.1 to your speed, or negative 0.2. So you get a little slower, but you're more accurate. And maybe your luck goes up a little bit because I don't know, when you're calm, you just get more lucky. I don't know if your wisdom goes up. Does your wisdom go up? I don't know. Alright, we'll just do those three for now, and also add the base here and luck base, and we'll say accuracy goes up by 3, luck goes up by 2. I'm not going to do the rest for now. I'll do those later. We need to populate these. So condition is going to be, oh, we need to add the condition. So calm. So it's going to be a buff. And we're going to add that now. Calm I don't need to do anything else to the condition, I think. Yeah, I don't think I need to do anything else to that. That's just a storage of a list. So conditions com. Duration, what's my duration here? Okay, 60 plus 3 per skill point. Cast type. Actor. Cast on an actor. I'm going to make an items list so I can just do a drop down so I don't have to worry about typing. I think that's a safe practice to not have to type whenever possible. Range, you can do it up to 10 units away. Skill required, water magic. It's not instant. It costs 5, we'll say. Description, to be determined. Yes, you can cast on the player. Portrait particle, we don't have one yet. Let's quickly, I'm going to do the trick earlier. Earlier in the Game Dev show, we learned that if I click that, autoplay. Okay. Oh, I keep pressing play. Okay. Let's turn my volume down. All right. Centered instead of calm. Could be. And now, Corey, I can change the name and it won't matter. That was the whole point of what I did last night and today. So that's cool. Let's see. So I'm going to do buff combo 7. Let me go back up to my spells and find the buff combos. Buff combo 7. For now, I'm just going to use the same Feeble Mind particle. We'll choose another one another time. And we have to fix that particle too, actually. All right, so that should do the trick. I think that's it. Is that all I have to do for setting it up? So I'm not hearing my own audio jitters that you guys are talking about. The mute is more jarring. Oh, what? I just heard it. Okay, so I was not pressing the mute button. I ran out of beverages a while ago. But I did hear it go out. I'm not sure why. I was actually just looking at the screen and not touching anything. It could be when I press play here, actually. Let's try. Debug this. See if it cuts out. It didn't cut out. So I'm not sure.
This will come in handy. This will come in handy.
I hope one of these has water magic.
This will come in handy. This will come in handy.
Ah, good.
This will come in handy.
Seems to work. Oh, smart. Feeble Mind. And let's pause. See, does she? I don't think it's a noise gate. I really think it's just like the computer not passing the audio through, like a video stutter or something. At some point, I'm going to need to upgrade my setup though, and get an actual audio mixer. Need to figure out from other folks how they do it. I've got 2 computers going on, and the HD60S Plus and an external microphone, of course, and it's all working, but it could be better. I need to talk to better streamers and figure out how they do it. All right, so on our game data, we are looking at our player. We have Calm, and we have Feeble Mind, and we look at her stats, and her Wisdom is here. Luck is up. I'm assuming I forgot to check, but that and accuracy are kind of high. And speed is a little low, so let's assume those are changed. We haven't put the conditions list here yet. And then let's change these times. What is our game time right now? 380. So we will put these at 385. Oops. What just happened? Where'd it go? Did they disappear? What happened? All right. I don't know what I did, but the conditions just disappeared, right? I think they did. I don't know why. Let's try again. I do not have a Go XLR. I don't know what that is. I got an iMac and a MacBook Pro from work. And I tried streaming directly from the iMac before, but that was terrible. The frame rate was just
This will come in handy.
not good.
This will come in handy.
Stats are there. I'm going to pause now. Conditions. Okay, and we'll say 3. I should check the time. Time is 376, so we'll say 381. And Feeble Mind will also end at the exact same time. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. And time doesn't go when we're in this mode, so we have to exit out. Those should disappear. Perfect. And her stats and skills are back. Oh, come on. I need to figure that bug out. Are back. All right. That's cool. So now, I mean, this is gonna be it for tonight, I think. I might do a little bit more later, but it's almost 9, so about time for a cocktail. But I have to say, I'm happy with this. Because setting up the spells now are quite easy. I still need to fix that particle with the mesh. The mesh seems to be not correctly assigned. But I'm happy with the result here. So Go XLR is a mixer. Let's see. Let me look it up. Go XLR mixer. Is that $550? Well, that's expensive. That's quite expensive. I I would look for a cheaper version. Yeah, let's see. Audio mixer for streaming Mac. They're so expensive. So I have got one of these. It's not plugged in right now, but I have one of these. That's cool. But the mixers seem expensive. Best audio mixer for live streaming 2020. That's so old. Audio mixer software. I would prefer audio or hardware, not software. Yeah, I don't know what I need really. I imagine I need a couple inputs: the computer, the microphone, maybe an iPad. The Mini's cheaper. Go XLR Mini. Go XLR Mini. Is that this one? This is a different. Is this it? It's cool looking. Let's see. BH photo video. Go XLR Mini. They don't sell it. Who sells it? Amazon? Smile.amazon.com. They sell it. $220. That's cool. Yeah, I'm assuming you can customize the colors. That's cool too. All right, well, I'm gonna have to look into that one day. Yeah, one day I'm trying to move into a house, and if that works out, then I'll have a space for a fancy YouTube setup and a colorful background. So I already have the lights for the colorful background, and then I'll look cool like other people. But we'll see if that happens. This is cool though. I'm excited about this working. I'm excited about this update I made about the stats and skills and all those. I have to upload to the Asset Store because they're not on the Asset Store right now. But it's cool that I can just set up different conditions and then set up these. I'm going to have to set up cast types as an item. I'll just try that right now, just see. So game modules create items, and we'll call this cast types. It's kind of overkill in a way, because all I'm really doing is like, what, actor? Wait, where are the cast types? Yeah, actor. I don't even know what other cast types there might be, but there's actor. There's oh yeah, actor, text, caster. World would be like you know, position in the world where you move your mouse and it kind of goes to that. So that would be like a point in world. So maybe that would be position. And then there would be one called player position, maybe. That would be like a spell that happens around you. So it's a player position. Not sure. pawn shops. I've never actually been to a pawn shop. I don't even know where there's a pawn shop around here. There's got to be, but I just don't know. So those could be, I'm only using actor right now. So I might change that, but it's easy to change them. What other thing was I going to do? I was going to add portrait particle. So create game modules, items, portrait particles. So we got feeble mind. Oh, interesting. So I don't have to call it feeble mind. I can call it particle 1, particle 2. I mean, I guess I would feeble mind and healing, and then here I would expose on my dictionaries on portrait particle item, and then I could say portrait particles. I'm glad that worked. Feeble mind. So I could reuse this on other ones too. I'm gonna com is using feeble mind, so portrait particles, feeble mind, and healing. Do it all of these. Option click to do all those. So portrait particles, healing, portrait particles, healing, portrait particles, healing. And what's interesting, I can actually put this buff combo 1 attached to this object instead of here. So when I go to my portrait particles now and healing, I don't need any of those, but I do want dictionaries. This is, I cannot solve this bug. You load that, all you have to do is save any script and it will load. It just, you need to, for some reason, this doesn't initialize or something when everything else does. Not sure why. So, so I can add a audio clip or just audio, and then expose the audio clip. So now I can put buff combo 1 here, and now when I have to update my code, but now any spell that uses portrait particle, where's my healing gone? Healing. So portrait particle healing can basically look up the audio clip from that. So everything to do with the portrait particle lives here. So this will be obviously the particle name. Particle name, and that's going to be a string. So we're going to call this healing. So now I only have to change the name in one place. Even changing this name doesn't matter. I can change this to healing test. And when I go back to my spells, it now says healing test because the UID. So I can change the name of this whatever I want. I can name it whatever I want. But any spell can use this as its particle, and all the details will be right here about the particle. The sound played, the particle itself. These are hard code because they're actually attached to the player objects effect. I do want to fix that one that's broken. Let's just see. The player particles are cool. They're on the portraits themselves. They're just prefabs turned off or something like that. Yep, Terrence, late night stream. Decided to do it later today because I didn't want to sit in front of the computer for 8 hours straight earlier this morning after the game dev show. Alright, so if I cast Healing Touch, oops, wrong button.
This will come in handy.
Then, or, yeah, give myself Healing Touch.
This will
too.
come in
If
handy.
I cast Healing Touch, no, that's Feeble Mind. Cast, what? What's that? Healing Touch. So, player portraits up here. This one is the right one, and we got the Magic Effect Sphere with these on it. And so you can see Healing, Feeble Mind, they have similar settings. They're both to the Effect Sphere. Okay, now I'm going to cast Feeble Mind. And then this says this. Trails. So Y is trails. Okay. So spawn on a mesh with 0. Is this the mesh it's trying to spawn on? So if I update this to this, no, that didn't work. No, I don't think that's what it's in reference to. I've got an issue. Is that the issue? Let me just turn this off. This is from the asset store. All right. I don't know what that's. I don't want to debug that. All right. So again, effect sphere. Got these two. Trails. Okay, maybe this is effect sphere. Let's see if that works.
This will come in handy.
There it is. Alright, so the shape mesh needs to be, so let's go to our prefabs. Player portraits? No. Where did I put it? There's player portrait. So, Feeble Mind, trails, the shape needs the effect sphere there. Alright, let's see this in the big screen, see how it looks. I really do like the portrait effects.
This will come in handy. This will come in handy.
So this is Healing Touch, little purplish thing, and Feeble Mind then is not showing. Why? Maybe an error. Why not? I mean, wasn't it? I didn't change anything else, right? That was the only thing. Should be active. Getting some sort of issue. Is it? There's my player. Oh, okay. So that's the issue. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to figure that out later. What? I don't know what that is. Alright, I'm going to do the old-fashioned quit and call it a night. Thank you for participating. Please come again. Check out infinitypbr.com for all the stuff. Scripting docs, by the way, for the modules are here. I'm constantly trying to make them better. Always open to feedback. Today I was working on this page. Didn't finish it. This section's not yet complete, but essentially on how to do what we were doing today. So definitely check that out. If you're interested in participating more, we got the Discord as well on Infinity PBR. Just click on the Discord link there. I need to tweet more often, or not Twitch. Join the Discord there. So have a great day, and I will see you another day, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's a holiday here in the United States, as many of you Americans know. And so therefore I'm going to have some time that I'm not doing the day job. And maybe I'll do this again. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.